So I make a whole bunch of instruments. Well, in the first place, it's fun. I like making things. But beyond that, I think it addresses, well, to go to the start, if a kid, where you enter musical life, it doesn't have to be a kid in age. People can start at 25 or, probably 50 or whatever, but if someone expresses an interest in music, the first thing they're pushed toward is learning how to play an instrument. They get some lessons, and playing an instrument isn't all music is about. It's what actually makes music is not someone playing an instrument, but groups of people playing together. And that gets sort of pushed out of the equation right away. I don't know everything about this, but everybody I know who's ended up going to music school or conservatory got there by being strongly identified with playing an instrument. Cello, piano, whatever it was. Like, yeah, you get to play this. And so that's, you don't come up as a musician so much as you come up as a guitar player or a piano player or a saxophone player or something like that. You're already pushed into this corner of music. And I think our music suffers from that it's over-individualized that way. We're not really brought into the thing thinking about the whole sound and having opportunity to do that. Again, people I've known who've gone to conservatory and like that have gone there because they were good at an instrument. I don't know anybody who went in just because they had great ears and, a great imagination about sounds, but making music, separate from making music in a particular style or according to a particular system, is really about listening and hearing and having imagination about putting sounds together. So oftentimes what we get is someone who's really good at an instrument running a band, and they kind of tend to run a band to make themselves sound good. There's nothing wrong with that. I can listen to John Coltrane play all day long sometimes, but still, I think that sort of misses out a little bit. There's been great music made by groups of really good players playing together, and there's been great music made by somebody telling everybody else what to do. But then again, how many of us actually get to sort of think about music as a generality instead of a specific thing coming from our place as instrument players? And I kind of found that objectionable as a young player coming up. I always liked all kinds of music. I like composed music, I like improvised music, I like jazz, I like, rock music, whatever, And I hear something else and I go, oh, that's cool, I wish I could do that. Oh, that's cool, I wish I could do that. And you end up pushing that toward your instrument all the time, perfectly naturally. It's hard to, you can't easily get a lot of instruments. Instruments are expensive. So that's, I don't know, you work hard and mow a lot of lawns or whatever and save up your money and, buy yourself the instrument that you want. And you keep narrowing toward that, then you get a better amp or, you get a better horn or all this stuff, and you practice and you practice and you practice. And I have done this. But it doesn't really get you into the position of making music generally. Like, you don't really think about music that doesn't have your instrument in it, and you don't think about music that sets up contexts where your instrument doesn't fit in. You just kind of skip all that stuff. And so doing this lets people, particularly me, lets people kind of expand and think about music instead of just thinking about what do I get to play on this. I kind of think I think of it as a soloist mentality. I think that sort of craps it up a lot of the time. I don't think that really. I love music that doesn't have solos in it, but go see a jazz band play and tell me how many no solo, how much proportion of that music has no solos in it, or same with a rock and roll band, considering a singer as a soloist too, and it's support and solo, support and solo, support and solo, and this is the same sort of exclusion and elitism as we find in our social structures too. Is like you get to work for somebody, or you get to buy things from somebody, and that's kind of before you even start, you're in this subservient position, and I don't think that's all that healthy. I don't think if it comes to that, cool, but it starts from there, and I don't think that's necessarily a good starting point. I like folk music because it isn't like that, but folk music isn't something that we really do anymore. I mean, we've gotten to the point where we call folk music, how is James Taylor folk music? That's a guy writing songs, an individual, being an individual. There's nothing folk about that, it's, how did that get to be that? I have no idea, it had nothing to do with folk music. There's no real opportunities for us to do that. We buy consumer products, which is a guitar or a delay pedal or whatever, and amplifiers, and then we put them together with other people who have done this too, and as groups of individuals, we try to get along with one another and make some music come out of it. But it still starts from this very individualized place and this very designated role of you're the bass player, you're the guitar player, you're the drummer, you play keyboards, you do this, you do that. This is your role, and we're going to have this stratified, hierarchic kind of social structure which will play out. Well, very naturally, our music will end up reflecting that. So, it just keeps re-amplifying the same social system and the same musical system, and I don't think that's where we come from. I don't think that's where the best music lies. I think my friend Daniel Carter, a great musician in New York, wouldn't play in a band that had someone's name on it. If it was, I'm not gonna mention names, but people would ask him to play in their band, and he'd say, "I'll play with it if the band has a name. If it's like your quartet or your quintet or something, nah, I'm not doing it, because that just right from the start we're going wrong there." And I love that. I like, and he did a certain amount of damage to his own career that way. He didn't record for, I don't know, at least 10 years or something because he wouldn't do that. It's not because people didn't want him, and not because he wasn't a great guy to play with, and not because he didn't dig the music, but, he just said, look, we're either like, we do this together, or I don't want to be part of it. I'm not putting myself into this system. And I wish all of us would just do that one day and just go, to hell with this. This is, this is elitist, this is exclusionary, it's just stupid.